How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Sanity here. So yeah, no memes or anything for this intro because we're technically still talking about the City Bear 03 situation, but more specifically on one of the two most recent figureheads of this entire situation that have done very poorly to try and save their image after basically defending our, dear fiend Diddy Bear 03. And of course, that person that we're talking about today is Kumo. Now don't worry, I will in fact have a video about Just a Robot coming out here at some point in the future. There's just still a few things I have to try and go through and go over before I actually, get really set to actually, set up, a proper script or anything like that for said video. And also, I feel like at least just kind of putting this video together, at least as quickly as I possibly can, largely because, well, it seems that Kumo is now taking the lolcow route of handling things by now falsely striking people that he doesn't like. So, yeah, if this video suddenly magically disappears, well, then you know who did it. So, of course, we're starting off with Kumo, largely because, well, a lot of this is relatively cut and dry, and of course, well, it's just pretty obvious to anyone that at least knows anything about Kumo at this point that his actions as of right now, of acting like he's, morally in the right, is just more performative nonsense just because he ended up getting cucked. And I will explain what I mean by that in just a little bit here. Now, of course, while I could go into Kumo's entire past of, basically, falsely accusing various commentary channels of being pedophiles for significantly less than what Cinebear has been exposed for, him basically going after random people and making shit up, him being friends with a culture war loser who is currently doing the world's worst damage control for him as of right now, and of course, while I could talk about the entire situation revolving around the fact that he coerced a girl into literally carving his name into her thigh, a story in which every single time it's brought up, he continuously keeps changing the fucking story despite the fact that the video clip itself of the entire call still exists, and as of right now, his main thing is basically just telling people to literally harm themselves whenever people bring it up at this point, so it goes to show you just how good of a person that Kumo really is, am I right, guys?
Who gets people, you get fucking women to cut their your name into, dude,
okay.
hey, press it against a napkin and put it on a wall, dude.
You actually, honestly, I'm starting to feel something special here. You actually look quite a bit like a woman to me, so I think you should try next.
But while I could talk about all that, that really has nothing to do with the situation. It has nothing to do with the overall timeline, because I'm here to set up a timeline of events as to what's going on, and why I do not believe that Kumo is actually, turning coat for any kind of good reasons whatsoever. So let's first start off with, well, the DM logs. All of this stuff that I'm going to be covering is, of course, going to be linked in the description below. Unfortunately, because the DM logs are currently locked behind an entire fucking live stream, you're going to have to try and sift through an entire fucking live stream for you to go over the logs. I've only selected a few things to at least kind of make a point here, but overall the DM logs basically just confirm a lot of the stuff that was already shown off by multiple other people, including the word of Kumo himself, where he basically admitted on a particular live stream call that he basically helped Diddy Bear 03 actually clean up the script, funnily enough.
Wait. Sorry, did you just say that it was something that should have been reported to the police for?
Yeah. Is there?
What?
Are we having some
wait.
disconnect?
How do you have that taken? You helped make her a script and stuff.
Oh, well, because I only revised her script, and I told her to keep it very concise and down to what she needed to address.
No, Kumo.
And I want you to keep that in mind for later, because it'll become very fucking hilarious. But of course, within the DM conversations, there's just further confirmation of this. But of course, another thing that there's confirmation of whenever it comes to Kumo is, of course, the fact that he was unbelievably cutesy, and honestly no different than Jar. The only difference between him and Jar's fucking, DM conversations with Cine is that, at least from what I was able to see, Kumo didn't make any, obvious passes towards her. That's pretty much the only thing. It's very obvious that Kumo, much like Jar, was basically simping for her, and the main reason why Kumo is no longer on Cindy's side is because Cindy decided to move to another guy that basically told her exactly what she wanted to hear. Which is just, are we really even surprised anymore at this point? But of course, speaking of things that happened within the DM logs, there's a very interesting thing, and that is, of course, the fact that now we have confirmation that Diddy Bear 03 actually has now committed 2 crimes, and Kumo has at least helped with one of them. The second crime in question that Kumo helped with is literally committing a cybercrime by breaking into somebody's personal computer. Yeah, I know, it's shocking that that is an actual fucking crime, and if Jack, had the wherewithal to actually, try and, go to court over this one and drag Kumo to court over it, well, he would be completely in his right to do so because, again, it's a literal fucking cybercrime. Congratulations, Kumo, you are now a criminal just like Cinny. How do you feel? And of course, there's even further confirmation of, well, Cinny actually breaking into Jack's computer, because if you were following along with the Diddy Barrow 3 situation, you will know that at some point it was revealed that Jack did in fact leave his, like, you know, laptop behind in the old apartment, and, well, Cinny basically decided to break into it and hack into some of Jack's accounts and basically fuck with things in order to try and find some sort of damning information against him, which of course, well, at least to my knowledge, didn't really work out too well, and ultimately resulted in just another crime being added onto the tally. But now knowing that Kumo was the one that basically gave her the idea to do shit like that, well, I mean, I would say that I'm surprised, but this is Kumo that we're talking about at this point. But of course, pretty much all the way up until Jar ended up actually getting involved, and Jar made his entire slot piece video, which, once again, that'll of course be covered here in the near future. Up until Jar's little slot piece, Kumo was effectively like 99% on this Diddy Bear 03 train. Basically, you know, his main justification was, despite the fact that he quite literally stated that Diddy Bear 03 should in fact be reported to the police, he apparently for some reason thinks that he can like play internet therapist for her and basically try and help her change, when it's very obvious, especially if you've seen the initial response video, which funnily enough she's now taken down and replaced with a, you know, sob story community post, that she doesn't want to change, doesn't feel like she needs to change, and in fact you would have known this, Kumo, if you actually bothered to pay attention to the script that you helped write. Anyone could have seen this shit from a fucking mile away except for you. At best, you are a fucking moron that is too stupid for the current platform that you have, and at worst, you are just a fucking contrarian that went through every single fucking hoop possible just so that way you could say, well, I'm not like everybody else that actually bothered to do research. And the funny thing is that the only reason why he did bother to do the bare minimum and do his due diligence in terms of research is purely because Jar got involved and Cinny ran to him. That is literally the only fucking reason why he decided to turn code on Cinny, and now why he's acting like Lio Convoy 2.0 in a fucking call. Speaking of which, I do in fact have a segment of that particular call that I feel like at least kind of going over. A few little interesting tidbits here that I feel like pointing out before I round off this video. And it's probably going to be the longer portion of this video. Like, the segment that I currently have is about like 30-something minutes long, so of course I have to try and like cut it down as much as possible and just kind of go over some of the parts that, for all intents and purposes, I just find to be particularly hilarious. So without any further ado, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's dive right in.
I mean, that's what upset me, but I don't know what, like, Kumo was upset about.
Oh, so you didn't finish the Cope and Seethe stream?
No, I couldn't.
Okay, Sandy. I'll just be blunt with you. I have a problem with how you've effectively lied and have been performative for, like, the last, I don't know, almost month with me.
What do you mean?
Well, since the moment you got in contact with Jar, you have had a completely different attitude with me, Barry, Goblin, Evan, anyone else you've spoken to in our group, our support group for you. You've had a completely different attitude from what you said in that interview.
Oh wow, the fucking, you know, woman that you quite literally helped clean up a manipulative script for would turn around to manipulate you. In other news, water found in ocean. You know, I would feel bad about you, Kumo, if it weren't for your entire history, and the fact that you were basically on this entire Diddy Bear 03 train, basically from the fucking beginning, and literally anybody with a fully functioning brain, you know, basically people not like Kumo, could literally see that she was basically playing you like a fucking fiddle all the way from, like, the fucking islands. Like, people saw this shit from like a mile away, and only now you're surprised just because she decided to run off to somebody else and you blew your chances to try and get some pred pussy. Like, it is just unbelievably fucking insane that it took you this long to realize that the side that you're currently on is obviously the wrong side.
And so this is why we've actually been trying to confirm, like, get eyes on a police report to make sure this is actually happening. And this is why we want to see for ourselves that you've even been going to fucking therapy. But even if you've been going to therapy, you sound like in that car with Just a Robot that you don't believe that you need to change. And it seems like you didn't believe you needed to change based on your comments towards us afterwards.
Again, Kumo, this was evident within her fucking new response that is now gone. You know, the response that you helped to fucking write? Again, at best, he's either really stupid or incredibly forgetful, and at worst, he is deliberately ignoring the fact that he literally helped to write this shit.
And you told us that you wanted to change, that you needed to change, and you've deliberately gone behind our backs. Oh my god, you've, treated us like we're, second opinions for you, as if all of us don't have the same fucking goal. If you don't like what one of us says, you go to another, and when they tell you to go to me, you went to Jar. And then, I don't know why or how, but you were, freaking out that I was undermining Jar. And this, honestly, in hindsight, I shouldn't have. I should have just let you go down that path. But you're freaking out that I tried to undermine Jar in your best interest. I knew how this guy was. I warned you how he was. I told you what position you were in, and I was very conscious and scared on your behalf because of what position you're in. Jar could have raped you, and that's probably what he was trying to, that was probably his dream, his end goal.
Alright, well, I'm gonna stop him right there in this particular segment, because I know that Kumo is, going to see this, because he honestly comes across as the kind of person that, willingly looks up his own name to see what other people think about him, but, there's a lot of things that I could very confidently say about Jar. He's a fucking moron. He apparently is someone that is willing to defend a predator, and apparently this isn't even the first time that he is willing to defend a groomer, and apparently this isn't even the first time that he has actually defended somebody with a shady fucking history like Cinebear at this point, and honestly, a lot of things could very easily said about Jar, and honestly, a lot of that stuff that I could say about Jar also applies to you, Kumo, but one thing for certain that I could very easily, without a shadow of a doubt, at least point out that is just completely fucking false, and is just something that I feel like is just my sources, I made it the fuck up kind of deal, is that Jar is a fucking rapist. I don't know where the hell this shit is coming from, other than, the debunked allegations from fuck knows how long ago. Dude, did you not learn from the last time that you made baseless allegations? Do we really need to run you through that again? Do we need to jog your memory? Shall I bring in Netherless into this shit?
How are you this dishonest with yourself? You sound like you've genuinely convinced yourself that nobody in this group cared about you. Did we do things that people who didn't care about you would have done?
I don't know.
If we didn't care about you, how do you explain the things we've done for you? And I'm not trying to lord them over your head. I'm genuinely trying to understand how you've come to this conclusion that we just didn't care about you in any capacity. As if my ulterior motives can't coexist with, caring. Both can be true. I can have an ulterior motive and still care and try to help you.
Yeah, and here's the thing about Kumo's ulterior motive, as I already mentioned before. It was just that way he could try and get in fucking Cindy's pants. Much like Jar. Again, like I mentioned before, some of the things I could very easily say about Jar also apply to Kumo at this fucking point, so expect a lot of those points to be repeated when it comes to the Jar video.
I think you're very rational. I think you know what you want, and you've just been lying to me the whole time. I think, actually, Barry put it best. I think you were using us for comfort. And Beckett suggested that you were using me, and I kind of believe him with how badly you wanted me to do that stream and then how you reacted poorly after I did it. But Evan suggested to me that you only wanted me to take the fucking brunt of it when you were under the most fire. And I could believe that. Because the fact that you actively ignored my very rational and helpful advice and went to fucking just a rapist.
Once again, I'm just going to quickly point out here, this is just apparently him making the same exact baseless accusation. Again, I don't even know where the fuck he's getting this kind of information from, but again, I don't like Just a Robot either, but I'm not gonna fucking call him a rapist just because I don't like him. I'm not gonna pull a Kumo and start using fucking baseless allegations against people that I don't like.
So, I'm so fucking stupid for giving you the benefit of the doubt. We asked you if he made any passes at you. I actually didn't expect you to be able to list anything off, because you're supposed to be autistic, right, Cinny? How come you gave us, anecdotes that perfectly suit, make it perfectly clear that you were aware he was making passes at you? And now you're acting uncertain that that was the case.
I didn't think it was at the time. At the time, I thought it was just being, like, weird. I didn't think it was, like, an actual pass. Like, I was assuming that he was, like...
You're smarter than you're letting on.
I thought it was weird. I didn't think it was, like, a flirt. Like...
So why was it weird?
Because I just thought it was strange to say, because it's just not something you say.
Because you thought it was a flirt.
Not really, it's just...
Well, then why would it be strange?
I mean... I don't know, it's just not, like, a thing I hear people say very often.
So what else could it have been?
Just him being autistic? I don't fucking know. I just kind of wrote it off until I...
You wrote it off even though I warned you specifically about this type of behavior? I don't buy it, Cinny. I don't. Did you actually stay on the phone with him while he went to sleep?
I thought I was being a friend. I thought he was trying to be a friend to me.
Did you guys goon together at all?
No, what the fuck?
Man, this is starting to really sound like a fucking Lyle Convoy call at this point with questions like this. This doesn't even fucking prove anything. We already know that Cinny is a fucking loser We already know that Cinny is a two-faced, lying, manipulative bitch. Honestly, just asking questions like this doesn't really help to serve anything other than just, well, showing that, well, you're becoming the very thing that you swore to destroy.
What I said on Beckett's stream, you somehow made yourself a victim in that, because I said the ideal outcome is that you make IRL friends and you don't need us anymore. That was not at all mean-spirited or something you should have taken offense to. You should have real-life friends who care about you, so that you don't need your internet friends anymore. That is ideally the most healthy outcome for you. That came from a place of caring, and you somehow, in victimizing yourself, made it seem like we didn't care because I said that. How did you delude yourself like this? Do you believe anything that comes out of your own mouth?
It was something else you said. It was something about, like, getting me out of the way so that you could...
Getting the discourse about you out of the way. Is exactly what I said. Getting the Cinny stuff over with, so that when I talk about Birdie, people don't go, oh, well, what about Cinny? What about Cinny? It's like, well, Cinny's been we've already discussed Cinny.
Alright, well, I feel like at least just bringing things up right here, I feel like I should just, like, mention a few things. Listen, alright, buddy, I really don't think you should be the one to try and cover anything in regards to Birdie, especially considering the fact that every single time that you've tried to cover Birdie, you've quite literally just evolved into a transphobic fucking, like, moron. And I have a couple of clips lined up to basically prove that for you, and trust me, these will become a lot more important later on.
Before in like an older video, but like if your pronouns being respected is like higher on your list of priorities than your fucking survival, you weren't fit for this world.
I highly doubt I'll be able to stay with any of them because
they don't respect your pronouns. Just be fucking honest about it.
But I mean, let's just put it this way. There are, in fact, a lot of things that you could very easily criticize fucking Jack for, okay? There's a lot of things that you could criticize Jack for, okay? The way that he handled his newfound freedom wasn't exactly good. I don't really agree with him, like, you know, deciding to give a green light to making, like, you know, depictions of violence against Cinny Barrow 3. I don't really agree with any of that shit. And there's probably a number of other things that I really don't even know about whenever it comes to Birdie that I probably wouldn't even fucking agree with. But I think for the most part, when it comes to Jack, I genuinely think that he is probably, like, I guess you could say the lesser of the evils in this entire situation. If we're gonna be bringing up the shit from, like, fuck knows how long ago of him, like, running a cult or some shit, trust me, I had to do a lot of research on this man to even, like, you know half of what in the hell was going on. I'd just rather not bring any of that shit up at this point. Not because, like, you know, it would, like, devalue any points of mine or anything like that, but purely just because not only is it so fucking ancient at this point that it's basically considered a fossil, but on top of that, too, it was, like, all, like, during a time in which he was, like, dealing with, like, abusive parents and, like, you know, being, like, in a hectic fucking, like, childhood life. It's mainly an explanation rather than an excuse for the man. I'm not exactly claiming that what he did back then was exactly good or anything along those lines. In fact, I genuinely find it to be extremely fucked up, and the "it's just a kid" defense, in my personal opinion, only can go so far, and I feel like that what Birdie did back then is probably the extent of the they're just a kid defense. But, like, there are things they can legitimately criticize Jack for, and you have decided to not criticize him on any of that, and instead just decide to make jabs at him for being trans. Like,
well, it's not like it fucking matters now, Cinny.
Yeah, I don't know if it does.
I mean, why would it? Right?
Anything else you want to talk about, or anything you want to say, Cindy?
Actually, yes, Cindy, you do have something you want to talk about. Well, at least I want you to talk about. I want you to reiterate what you've been saying to Goblin. And make that make sense with where we're at now. Please, if you wouldn't mind. If you would be so kind.
It's just, after all this, I don't know who to trust.
Or you don't?
And I don't know.
Do you even trust yourself?
No, honestly.
Oh. That's a damn shame.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
you know, I would appreciate this kind of shit if it weren't coming from somebody who is a lying, duplicitous fuck, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I would appreciate blood sports like this if it wasn't coming from someone with a sordid history like this motherfucker right here. And especially someone who criticizes other people for basically acting like this.
Oh, just why the fuck?
Why the fuck? I don't have any more empathy for you. Quite frankly, I don't appreciate being lied to, let alone to this extent. I'm actually, despite what people think, or despite, you know, what I make people think, I'm a very forgiving person. I'm a very compassionate and empathetic person.
You know, a certain individual by the name of Netherless would probably disagree with you, but what do I know?
I didn't think to mention it. It just didn't seem like a...
All the questions we were asking you about you needing to be 100% honest about what was, like, damning and shit.
I mean, I didn't even think about it. It didn't even come across my mind.
And, you know, I was thinking about asking you that when it was coming out, because it was being brought up with the Pee-wee stuff, and that one person who was, like, schizophrenic that you knew when you were a minor yourself, too, that this was a thing you do. You'd ask anyone you share that comic with to read it. I was going to go on and ask you if you'd done that to Enno, but I didn't get a chance to because I was busy, and then you were also starting to judge us. But then I had Himpleton come up and ask me, hey, did you know about this? At least with Enno.
I don't know, it's just like a...
Hey, Kumo, does knowing that fact change anything for you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Because that's, like, literally asking her to engage in your fetish.
It was mostly just, like, being able to, like, hear what her reaction was.
Oh!
Like,
okay. No, we're done. We're done.
I'm mainly leaving this one in, mainly because this is like a new bit of a lore drop, if you will, about like Diddy Barrow 3 right here, and I might as well kind of give some of the context because, of course, I'm not going to be fitting the entire clip because it's like straight like 2 or 3 minutes of like a full-on explanation and like Diddy Bear trying her best to not answer the question whatsoever until this very point. But like the main context behind it is that it was revealed that apparently, like, you know, Cinny decided to try and get Enno, the minor, the 14-year-old, to read out the sexual assault comic that she ended up sending to Eno, and read it out loud on a call. And yeah, I just feel like that alone should, if it weren't for literally everything else that was already shown off, the fact that she quite literally committed a federal crime by sending pornography to a minor, the fact that she was speaking sexually with a minor, and basically damn near everything else that existed within the documents, mind you. You know, the documents that, you know, Kumo willingly and admittedly didn't want to go through whatsoever back when he was still on the Diddy Bear train. I was already disgusted by Cindy to begin with, but like, this revelation is just even more disgusting.
And I really bothered to dispute what your intentions might have been.
I just like getting feedback. I didn't
feedback during sex.
Not sex, no.
Well, you wanted feedback and effectively what is a sex act.
I didn't think it was like that.
Having her read out a rape comic out loud.
And this is what I was talking about on like Twitter and shit, that recently I've realized that everyone else was right for the wrong reasons.
Alright, well, I really have absolutely no idea what in the fuck he actually means by this one, but no, I think that everybody was upset for the correct reasons. Like I mentioned, like all the other things that I had already mentioned before pretty much apply here as well. Everyone is reasonably, justifiably angry at Diddy Bear 03 at this fucking point, and you trying to, for some reason, you know, claim that, oh, they were just upset for the wrong reasons. Like, no, dude, people were upset for the right reasons. She sexted a minor! That alone is a good enough reason to be pissed off at somebody. It's the main reason why people are pissed off at fucking Dr. Diddy Respect. It's the main reason why people are upset at people like him. Because sexting a minor doesn't require that much of a well-tuned moral compass to fucking understand that it's wrong. And if you don't think that it is wrong, well then maybe you should either A, leave whatever space that you're currently in, or B, maybe try and tune that moral compass of yours so that way it actually makes more fucking sense.
But the parts that were problematic were specifically things that I would care about, and I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that because I was so focused on the guy I already didn't like. And the guy that I was already concerned was going to, like, try and use, like, do shit to you. Do you understand, Cindy, that you are in, like, the perfect position for him to take advantage of you? Why would you say no to him?
I didn't realize that.
Why would you say no to him, though?
We're gonna be skipping over this segment because it's once again him reiterating this weird fucking point of him trying to call Jar a rapist or something like that. Again, I want you to keep in mind that in like 30 minutes of an entire like over hour-long call, at least within like the first 30 minutes, he basically just baselessly calls Jar a rapist like 3 separate fucking times.
I didn't know about that. Like, I didn't hear about it.
You were warned about him.
Not like that. You didn't tell me any of that.
Did I need to?
He was like a fucking weirdo.
Oh! Oh wow, it's like the nitty-gritty didn't really fucking matter because you were already warned about him. I don't know. He seems alright. No, you didn't care who he was, Cindy. You didn't care. Because even after he made those weird passes at you and you identified that it was weird, you didn't think, oh, something's up. I should probably not talk to him. You thugged it out. You powered through it. And I bet he would have graped you and you would have stayed quiet about it.
Okay,
so long as it meant your fucking career was fixed. Something we told you isn't in the fucking cards. Just a Robot is an arrogant, ignorant, fucking bigoted ass.
You know, Kumo, I feel like there's a saying that could very easily be said about this particular quote right here. I think it has something to do with, like, you know, throwing stones and glass houses or something along those lines, because a lot of that could very easily apply onto you. And let's put it this way, especially when it comes to the bigoted part right there. I mean, buddy, do you think you're any fucking better? Again, roll the clips, everybody.
Before in like an older video, but like if your pronouns being respected is like higher on your list of priorities than your fucking survival, you weren't fit for this world.
I highly doubt I'll be able to stay with any of them because
they don't respect your pronouns. Just be fucking honest about it.
Yeah, my brother in Christ, you're not much better than Jar. In fact, in some ways, I consider you to be almost significantly fucking worse than him. I genuinely think that a lot of this shit within this particular call, you probably knew that this call was being recorded and that it was going to be made public, so you decided to pull this weird performative Lyle Convoy 2.0 shit, just so that way you can make yourself seem like you were, you know, the big, strong, good guy. When in reality, if Jar wasn't even at all involved with this entire situation, if Jar didn't make himself present, you probably would have still been on the Diddy Barrow 3 train until your career was run into the fucking core of the planet. That is literally, like, at best, you were snapped out of your weird delusions because someone was just as fucking stupid as you, and at worst, you're only deciding to turn coat now because someone you don't like agrees with you, and has also decided to do the exact same things as you in DMs, but to a significantly more egregious degree. Like, no, my brother in Christ, I'm not fucking buying any of this weird shit, buddy. Nobody is buying any of this. If anyone has their wits about them, none of them will believe this weird performative garbage. At best, they'll probably just laugh at the fact that you were mean to a fucking, you know, child groomer. But, like, anybody who at least knows anything about you knows that you are still not to be fucking trusted. You are still someone who only decided to turn coat just because it wasn't cool to be a contrarian anymore. And that is why the video is titled the way that it is, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like. That's very well appreciated. Leave a comment down below what you thought about the video, what you want me to talk about next. And also subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to see more content such as this. Also, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, join the Discord server, I also have a Blue Sky if you want to follow me there, and also become a channel member. I currently have 2 channel members, and they're absolutely fantastic, and they get early access to videos. So, there's that. My 2 channel members are, of course, listed on screen right now. Thank you, Gruesome, and thank you, MadFox94, for being fantastic individuals for sending me $5. But anyways, this has been Sandy, and have yourselves a nice day.